Well, good morning, Facebook community. Alejandro Tornato here, coming from Beaufort, Georgia. Let me just share with you that earlier on, it was a stormy, gray, and rainy day, but now I can see the sun just through the clouds, so it's great. But it doesn't matter what the conditions outside are. They could be rainy, they could be stormy, they could be snowy or cold, whatever they are. What is important is what are the conditions inside of you. And inside of me today is a desire to connect with you, is to share with you content that will help you to live today in a top condition, or things that are going to help you to think, reflect, meditate on how you can live your days more efficiently and with more enthusiasm and passion. So thank you for connecting with me, whether you are live with me or whether you catch the replay of this video. I am very grateful and very thankful to be able to do this on a weekly basis. So thank you for being with me on this segment that I called transformational mentoring. And I just want to ask you a question. It's a question for you, and it's also a question that I'm asking myself. How can we develop the right mental attitude? What are some ways that we can use, to develop the right mental attitude? Now, let me share with you that the human mind is very, very, very powerful, either to help us in our journey towards success, or it is equally powerful to prevent us from reaching, from obtaining success. Now, I want you to play a little bit with me. I want you to picture, just for a moment, that your mind is a beautiful talisman. That your mind and my mind, they are beautiful talisman. And on one side of that talisman, you can see the letters PMA. PMA. And on the reverse side of that talisman, the letters NMA are inscribed on that talisman. So you have PMA and then you have NMA on those both sides of that talisman. Of course, PMA is and stands for a positive mental attitude. A positive mental attitude. And NMA is its polar opposite, is a negative mental attitude. And why are we talking about a mental attitude? Some time ago, I can't remember, it must have been a year and a half ago, I read a little book called Attitude is Everything. Attitude is Everything. And I don't know about you, but I have through years of struggle, because I wasn't the kind of person that used to live my life with PMA, with a positive mental attitude, with the right mental attitude. And as a consequence of that, I used to hit my head against the wall time after time after time after time. I cannot tell you, sometimes how frustrating I was. But I did not know that my problem was a problem of attitude, to have the right attitude. So today, I want to share with you in the time that remains, and I don't want to take too much of your time. You are busy. We are all busy with lots of activities and things that we want to get accomplished. But I want to share with you 3 ways in which we can develop the right mental attitude, and that positive mental attitude. And the first one is that every morning, once you wake up and once you get out of bed, I want you to believe, to truly believe, not have a superficial kind of a belief, but to really have a deep belief that you are a person of great value. That you are a person of great value. And not only that you're a person of great value, but that you possess something of incredible value that you can share and you can give to others. Now, that something that you possess, it could be a product, a service that you offer. It could be a conversation that you can have or that you need to have with a person that you know, perhaps a friend, a family member, a co-worker, perhaps even your boss. Whoever you need to have a conversation, perhaps a conversation that you have delayed, that you have put off for some time, but today is the day, today is the time to have that conversation. Perhaps it is a word of encouragement to someone who might be going through a very difficult time in their lives, and your word of encouragement can uplift the spirits of that person and make a difference in that person's life. It could be something as simple as a smile. So whatever it is, you are a person of great value, having something of value that you can, as you open your heart, you can give that to others. So that's the first way that we can develop the right mental attitude. The second way is to develop inspirational dissatisfaction. Is to develop inspirational dissatisfaction. And let me share with you just a little story. I read this story in a book recently, and it's the story of a salesperson, an insurance salesperson. And that person, one day, he went out and he walked through a few blocks in his town, and he called on every business on those blocks to try to sell insurance. And guess what happened? Nothing happened. A complete failure. He went, called on those businesses, and nothing happened. 0 insurance contracts sold. And so the next day, then he was in the local office, and he was talking to their co-workers, and he said to them, he was explaining that the previous day he went and he called on these businesses, and he did not sell any insurance. But he said that today he was going to call back on the same customers, the same businesses that he did the previous day, and that he challenged himself that he was going to become the top salesman in the company, that he was going to sell more insurance than all of the other salesmen combined. And guess what happened? He went and he called on the same businesses that he had done the previous day, and he sold more insurance contracts, more insurance policies than all of the other salesmen combined. He was inspired to persevere, and he was dissatisfied. So he developed that inspirational dissatisfaction. And through that inspirational dissatisfaction, with a heavy dose of PMA, with a positive mental attitude, he achieved what perhaps others would have thought that it could not be achieved. But he did it. So develop inspirational dissatisfaction. And the third and final way that we can develop the right mental attitude is to bring into reality the possibility of the improbable by acquiring PMA. Is to bring into reality the possibility of the improbable by acquiring PMA. And a little story about this is the story of Henry Ford. And I don't know, if you read it, if you know it, if you remember it, but Henry Ford wanted to create and produce the V8 engine. And that required that you have to have all the 8 cylinders on that engine cast in the same block. And up until that time, that was an impossibility. It could not be done. It was impossible. And Henry Ford told his engineers to work on that until they got it done. And so the engineers began to work, and 6 months went by, and they were just perhaps pulling their hairs apart because they could not get it done. And so another 6 months went by, a year went by, and so Henry Ford comes, and the engineer says, we told you that it cannot be done, it's not possible. And Henry Ford said 2 words. He said to the engineers, keep working. Keep working. He did not put a time limit. He says, keep working. Keep at it. Keep being in that creative type environment. And so, you know what happened. The V8 engine was created because they stuck with it, and because Henry Ford had that positive mental attitude, and he brought into reality the possibility of whatever up until that moment was thought to be impossible, was thought to be improbable. With PMA, he did not give up. He stayed with the problem. He stayed with the impossible to see it become possible. Now, are we, or you, am I, staying with the impossible, with impossible ideas until they become possible through exercising a positive mental attitude? So those are the three ways that I wanted to share with you to help you live today, having inside of you a positive mental attitude. Remember that your mind is that talisman that has those two sides. On one side is a positive mental attitude, PMA, and on the other side is a negative mental attitude, NMA. And you live your life depending, and the choice is yours, and the choice is mine. Today and every day, which side of that talisman is showing up? I hope that for us, the side that always shows up is the one that says PMA, that we have every day a positive mental attitude to do the right things and to stick with them until we see them becoming a reality. Thank you very much for being with me, and I want to end by reminding you of this. Live every moment. Be resilient.